caught my nephew putting dog shit in the pot of food, told my sister, but the family berated me for trying to discipline my sister's kid and laughed about my miscarriage, so I let them eat it. This happened last weekend, and I honestly still feel sick about it. I keep running it through in my head like maybe I'm the one who's lost it. But then I remember what they said to me, and I feel cold all over again. I had a miscarriage 3 months ago. It was early, but it destroyed me. I had already started picturing everything, planning names, wondering if it'd be a boy or girl. I was terrified the whole time, because I've had issues before, and when I finally felt a little hope, it got ripped away. I ended up staying with my mom for a while, because my partner works long hours, and I didn't trust myself to be alone. I just needed family around me, or at least I thought I did. My sister lives nearby and brings her 7-year-old son over constantly. Has a lot. I used to love being the fun aunt, but since I got pregnant and especially after the miscarriage, he's been hard for me to deal with. Last time he shoved me when I asked him to stop jumping on the couch next to me. I was still pregnant then. I told my sister, and she just said he was playing and I needed to relax. She always says that he's just a kid. I'm too sensitive. Blah blah. That's kind of been the theme of my whole life with her, honestly. Anyway, this past Sunday, the whole family came over for lunch at my mom's. It's this regular thing we do, and usually I help out in the kitchen. I didn't feel up to it this time, but ended up being dragged in anyway. My nephew wanted to help too, which should have been fine, except he kept giggling and running back and forth from the backyard like he was doing something sneaky. I didn't think much of it until I noticed him hovering near the big pot of stew, just grinning to himself while stirring it. When I asked him what he was doing, he said the food was extra spicy today, and burst out laughing. I asked what he meant, and he got weirdly quiet and whispered to me that he had put dog poop in the pot. Then he just started laughing harder. I froze. Like fully frozen. I thought maybe he was messing with me, but his face, he looked proud. I asked again what he meant, and he just said it was from the backyard and made a shh motion like it was some secret between us. I immediately stopped everything and went to my sister. She rolled her eyes, said he was joking and probably just meant mud or something. I said I watched him stir the food after being outside with the dog and he straight up told me it was poop. She said I was taking everything too seriously again and to stop blaming her kid for everything. I didn't even know how to respond to that. So I walked back into the kitchen, lifted the pot, and was about to dump it when my mom walked in, asking what I was doing. I tried to explain, calmly. She called in my aunt, my cousin, everyone. Next thing I knew, they were all there asking me why I was freaking out and making a scene. When I told them what happened, my cousin laughed like it was a dumb prank. My aunt said, "That's boys for you." Then someone might have been my sister, might have been my mom, said something about me being on edge again and blamed my hormones. Then came the miscarriage jokes. My sister said something like, she probably thinks the poop is trying to make her miscarry again. They laughed. My cousin nearly fell over laughing. I went cold. I just put the pot back on the stove and said if they don't care, they can eat it. Then I walked out. No yelling, no drama. I just left. It's been 4 days and no one has texted me. Not to ask if I'm okay, not to check if I was serious, not even to apologize. Nothing. I keep wondering if I overreacted, but I can't shake the image of my nephew's face, how gleeful he looked, and the way my family just brushed it off like I was being hysterical again. Maybe I was. Maybe I am. But is that normal? For a kid to put literal dog crap into food and for the adults to still feed it to people? For family to bring up your miscarriage as a punchline? I keep replaying the hospital in my mind. That awful, sterile light. The nurse asking if there was anyone I wanted to call, and me saying no because I knew exactly what my family would say. I was right. This was supposed to be lunch, just a regular Sunday lunch. I didn't even want to go, but I told myself it'd be good to be around people, that they were trying in their own way. I don't even know what I expected. Maybe I should have just dumped the food. Maybe I should have made a bigger deal. Maybe I should have yelled until someone actually took me seriously. But the moment they started laughing about the miscarriage, I just shut down. I couldn't even cry. It was like something inside me just went still. I walked out, got in my car, and drove home. That was it. Now I feel stuck in this weird space where I'm angry, but also ashamed for being angry. Like they're right and I'm overreacting again. But dog schwat. In food. Served to a whole group of people. How is that something you just shrug off? No one's reached out. Not my mom, not my sister. Nothing. It's like they've just moved on and I'm the crazy one. Reddit, I don't even know what I'm asking. Am I wrong for walking out? Should I have done something differently? I feel like I'm losing my mind. It's not even about the food anymore. It's about how fast they turned on me. Like my pain is some running joke to them. Like none of it mattered. Let me know if I'm missing something, because right now, I just feel broken. Update 1. I waited almost 2 full days for someone in my family to text me. Nothing. Not even a, "What happened?" or "Are you okay?" It's not like I expected apologies. I've been through this before. Just not to this level, but I thought someone would reach out, especially since I walked out of a family meal crying. Instead, the group chat that usually buzzes nonstop with dumb memes and birthday reminders was radio silent on my end. I checked to see if they removed me. Nope, just ignored me. It got to the point where I started to wonder if I made the whole thing up in my head. I know what I saw. I know what I heard. My nephew told me, smiling, that he put poop in the pot. It wasn't a joke in the moment. He didn't look scared or confused or like he made a mistake. He thought it was hilarious. He knew what he was doing, but my sister played it down like he didn't understand, that maybe it was just dirt. Then the others piled on. It's one thing to dismiss what he did, it's another to drag me into it by mocking my miscarriage again, like that's somehow part of the punchline. For anyone who's asked, yes, I had a miscarriage earlier this year. I was about 19 weeks when it happened. It was traumatic. I went into early labor alone in my apartment and bled through 2 pairs of pants before calling an ambulance. I had no support because that same week, I'd gotten into an argument with my mom and sister after asking them to keep my nephew away from me after he shoved me hard into the wall while playing. He didn't mean to, but it still hurt. I was already spotting then. They said I was exaggerating and that he's just a boy and that accidents happen. Then I lost the baby. No one called, not even after I sent them a picture of the hospital bracelet. So yeah, I don't find jokes about my miscarriage funny. I don't think it's lighthearted when someone brings it up just to shut me down or make me look dramatic. I broke down Monday night. I kept remembering how my sister smirked when she said, "Maybe the poops cursed your uterus," and how they all laughed like it was the most natural thing in the world to say, like I was being sensitive for reacting. I cried until I gave myself a migraine. I couldn't eat anything the next day without gagging. It felt like I could still smell that pot in the kitchen. I finally texted my sister. I told her that what happened wasn't funny and that letting her kid get away with something like that, not to mention mocking me in front of everyone, was cruel. I didn't say anything rude. I was just clear. She replied back with, "You always make things about you. He's a child. You should have just thrown the pot out quietly instead of turning it into a scene." That hit me sideways. I made it a scene? Because I took the pot off the stove and said I didn't want anyone eating it after a kid put literal dog shit in it? I scrolled back through the family group chat later just to see if anyone else had something to say. My aunt posted a meme about "can't take anyone anywhere these days" with a laughing emoji. My cousin chimed in, "At least no one got sick." Another laughing emoji. My mom added, "We've all said inappropriate things. Time to move on." My sister posted, "No one died." Perspective. I don't know what made me feel worse, that they were still laughing or that they really didn't care. I've had issues with them before. They've always been weird around my emotions. Growing up, I was called too much for crying when our dog died. I was told to toughen up after getting dumped in high school. When I had the miscarriage, my mom said, "At least it happened before you got attached." My sister said I probably dodged a bullet since the dad had already bailed. And then she had the nerve to say I use that baby for sympathy. So when she says I make everything about me, it's just their way of saying my pain is inconvenient. It makes them uncomfortable, and instead of dealing with it, they turn it into a joke or pretend I'm unstable. I've been thinking a lot about what I'm supposed to do now. I don't hate my nephew. I don't even blame him fully. He's a kid and he's never been taught better. He's growing up around people who laugh at cruelty and don't take responsibility for anything. But that doesn't mean I want to be anywhere near him anymore. Especially if it means every time he acts out, I'm the one who gets shamed for reacting. I haven't blocked anyone yet. I've just stopped replying. I muted the group chat. I took a few days off work and stayed home. I still don't have much of an appetite. I'm not sleeping well either. I keep having the same dream of everyone sitting around the table, chewing and laughing, while I scream at them to stop and no one listens. I know some people reading this are going to say I should have just thrown the food out and walked away, that maybe I escalated things too far by letting them eat it, but I didn't force them to do anything. I warned them. They chose to ignore me and laugh about it. They wanted me to be the butt of the joke, so I let them eat their joke. I'm not proud of it, but I don't regret it either. I don't know if I'm going to show up to the next family lunch. Part of me wants to prove I'm not afraid of them. The other part is exhausted. I'm tired of being the one who's always on the outside, trying to make peace with people who find it fun to hurt me. Anyway, I'll probably take a few more days to think it over, but I've made one decision. I'm not eating anything they touch again, ever. I'm not making a scene. I'm just done being their emotional chew toy. If that makes me the problem, then so be it. We'll update again if anything changes. Right now, I'm just trying to keep my head above water. Update 2. So I wasn't planning to go back to my mom's house, but I ended up there again anyway. Not for them. I wasn't trying to forgive or move on. I honestly just wanted to see my nephew. I kept thinking about how young he is, and how when he said sorry over text, he called me auntie instead of auntie, and for some reason that hit me harder than all the comments they made. He's still a kid. He's not blameless, but he's not the one who turned my miscarriage into a punchline. I brought him a small activity book I'd found at the pharmacy. It was nothing special, just some sticker puzzles and coloring pages. I guess I wanted to see if he even remembered what he did, or if anyone had talked to him about it. When I got there, it was just him and my mom in the living room. My mom didn't say anything to me beyond a weird half smile, like we were pretending none of this had happened. I sat down near my nephew and he was quiet, not bouncing around like usual. He barely looked at me, just kept playing with his tablet. Then he said, barely loud enough for me to hear, "Sorry I made you sad." I asked him what he meant, and he said his mom told him I hate them now, that I left because I'm mean. I didn't even know what to say. I told him I didn't hate him, that I just needed space. But it made me realize something I didn't want to admit. I'm losing my relationship with him, not just because of what happened, but because of how his mom is shaping the story for him. Later that night, my sister came by my place. She didn't ask to come in, just rang the bell and left something on the step. It was a used cookbook with a sticky note that said, "Hope we can laugh about it one day." Underneath she wrote, "Maybe leave the food stuff to someone else next time." I don't know what that even means. Was it her way of apologizing? Was she being sarcastic? Was it a jab? I stared at it for a long time and then threw it in the trash. Not because I was angry, though I was, but because I knew if I kept it, I'd overthink it to death. I already am. I wish she just said what she meant. A couple days later, my aunt texted me about another Sunday lunch, said it would be good for everyone to cool off and come together again. I said no at first. I actually typed out a whole message about why I wasn't ready and then deleted it. I didn't owe them an explanation. But then I thought about my nephew again, and how quickly this family will twist a situation to fit whatever story makes them feel better. If I didn't show up, I'd be the unstable one, the bitter one, the one who abandoned everyone. And then that's what he'd be told over and over until he believed it. So I went. I showed up on time. I didn't touch anything in the kitchen. I didn't stay too long, and I didn't engage in small talk unless I had to. At first it was fine, quiet, awkward. I sat near the end of the table while everyone else caught up. No one said anything out of pocket. It was almost like a normal gathering. Then came the bread. My nephew brought me a slice of homemade garlic bread, all proud, said he made it with his mom. I thanked him, and I really did try to act normal. But the second I took a bite, I tasted something off. It was peppery, bitter, and not right. I panicked. I don't even know how to explain it. I didn't scream or make a scene. I just froze, spit it out into my napkin as quietly as I could, and sat there, heart racing, wondering if he had done something to it. That was enough for him to notice. He started crying, actually crying, said it was just pepper, swore he didn't do anything bad this time. Everyone turned to look. My sister gave me this look like, really? Again? She muttered under her breath, "She's paranoid again." I didn't respond. I just stood up, grabbed my things, and left. I didn't slam anything. I didn't say a word. I just walked out. And I felt like garbage the entire way home, because I couldn't even tell if I was overreacting or not. What if it really was just pepper? What if he really did try this time? I wanted to believe him, but I didn't trust him. And that made me feel like the villain. Now I'm here, typing this, not even knowing what to think. My stomach's been in knots all day. I keep smelling that bread, even though it's not here. I feel stupid for going. Stupid for hoping anything would be different. And then there's this deeper fear I can't shake. that I'll never be able to be around food or family again without feeling like I have to look over my shoulder, that I'll never stop reliving that moment when they laughed about my miscarriage like it was something they had to get through, like traffic or bad weather. I know I'm not crazy. I know trauma doesn't just switch off because you decide to be over it, but it's exhausting to feel like no one around me gets that, like my grief is something to be mocked or managed, not respected. I want to believe that kid didn't mean to hurt me, that he was trying to connect. But even if that's true, it doesn't change the fact that his mom is still using him to avoid accountability, and I'm stuck in the middle, being told I'm either too sensitive or not forgiving enough. So yeah, I think I need space again. More than I wanted to admit. I don't know what comes next. I just know I can't keep putting myself in situations where I'm the only one walking on eggshells. I'm not broken, but I'm not okay either. Update 3. I didn't think things could still get worse, but they did. Not in a loud, dramatic way, just in that slow, quiet, draining way that makes you start to question your own mind. I've been running on fumes since I walked out of that lunch. I haven't been sleeping. I keep checking every ingredient I use when I cook like someone's going to sneak in behind me and poison it. I know how that sounds, but it's where I'm at. I can't eat something now without thinking about whether it's safe, even if I made it myself. I finally caved and booked a therapist, just a couple sessions in, but it's already helped more than I expected. She didn't try to fix anything or tell me I was being dramatic. She just listened. When I explained everything, she didn't even flinch. When I told her about how my nephew stirred the food and whispered that it was poop, she asked, "And how did that make you feel in your body?" And it hit me that no one in my family had ever asked me that. They'd all jumped straight to whether or not it was a joke, whether or not he meant it. No one asked how it felt to be in that moment, to be laughed at when you're not okay, to be mocked for the one thing that still keeps you up at night. The therapist helped me understand something simple. I'm not crazy. My body's reacting to real trauma. I'm not making it about me every time I cry. I'm reacting to people who do not respect my pain. She said I needed boundaries, not to punish anyone, but to stop hurting myself by constantly walking back into a fire, hoping it won't be hot this time. So I sent a message to the family group chat. I kept it short. I said there will be no more jokes about my miscarriage. I said I will not eat food that has been handled by unsupervised kids, and I will not stay at any gathering where I feel unsafe or mocked. I said I'm open to rebuilding, but only if everyone understands that I'm not going to pretend like nothing happened. I also made it clear, I'm not asking for special treatment. I'm asking for basic respect. Of course, it didn't land well. My mom replied first with, "Wow," and then told me she was disappointed I needed to be so cold. My sister wrote, "So now we're doing legal notices in group chats?" Then followed up with, "Congratulations on alienating your only family." She added a thumbs up emoji. I didn't respond. Later that night, my mom texted me separately and said that my nephew had been teased at school. Apparently another kid heard about the poop in the food story from their older cousin and told the class. Now he's being called gross and getting laughed at during lunch. I didn't even know what to say. I never posted his name, never told anyone outside the family, but somehow it got out. My stomach dropped. I never wanted that. Not for him. Then, a day later, I got a drawing in the mail. It was a folded up piece of paper with stick figures, me, him, and his mom. On the back, it just said, "Sorry again. I miss when you liked me." I stared at it for so long. I didn't even realize I'd started crying until it soaked through the corner. I showed it to my therapist, and she told me something I'm holding on to. You can love someone and still need distance from them. You can feel compassion without inviting chaos back into your life. That helped because I do love him. But I can't let a 7-year-old's feelings override my right to be safe. I can't let his mom twist this into me being cruel or unforgiving. It's not cruelty to say, "This hurt me and I don't want it to happen again." It's not cruelty to take a step back when no one will meet you halfway. I haven't spoken to my sister directly since then. She hasn't reached out either, beyond vague posts on Facebook about how some people can't take a joke. My cousin, yes, the same one who laughed at the miscarriage comments, posted a TikTok that said, "Y'all ever met someone who thinks boundaries mean burning every bridge?" I didn't engage, I just blocked him. My mom is still in the middle, trying to fix everything without holding anyone accountable. She keeps saying things like, "I know it was wrong, but you're dragging this out, and you've made your point." I told her plainly, the point wasn't to punish anyone, it was to make it stop, and if it hasn't stopped, then no, I haven't made my point yet. I did write back to my nephew. I kept it simple. I told him I love him and that I forgive him, but that grown-ups have to be responsible when they mess up, and sometimes that means not seeing each other for a little while. I told him I hope we can play again soon. That's all I said. I don't know what's going to happen next. I know a final line's been drawn. If they keep mocking me, I'm gone. Fully, permanently, no second chances. But if they're willing to really talk, no passive-aggressive gifts, no half-jokes, no get-over-it speeches, then maybe there's room to come back from this. Not all the way. Not like before, but something. The therapist said something else that stuck with me. You don't have to make peace with your pain. You just have to stop letting people add to it. That's what I'm trying to do. For the first time in my life, I'm not folding just to keep the peace. I'm not crying in the car and then pretending it's fine by the time I knock on the door. I'm not smiling through people's jokes about the worst thing that's ever happened to me. I'm still grieving, but I'm grieving with my dignity intact now. That's something. Final update. It's been a few weeks since everything blew up, and if I'm honest, the fallout has been strange. Not dramatic, just awkward, quiet. The kind of quiet where you know people are talking about you in group chats you're not in. The kind where your phone doesn't buzz anymore unless it's a bank notification or spam. The kind where you can finally breathe, but you're not sure if you like the air. Last Friday, my mom showed up at my door with my sister and my nephew. No warning, just knocked like she used to when I was still living at home and thought I owed everyone an explanation for every breath I took. I didn't say anything when I saw them. I just stepped aside so they could come in. I didn't have it in me to fight, but I wasn't going to pretend we were fine either. They sat awkwardly in my living room. My sister didn't look smug for once. She looked tired, hair in a bun, barely any makeup. My mom did most of the talking at first. She said they'd been speaking to a counselor through my nephew's school and that they were trying to build more structure at home. That's what she called it, structure. Not discipline, not consequences. But I didn't comment. Then my sister said sorry. Not in a dramatic way, not with tears or excuses, just, I'm sorry about what happened. You were right to be upset. She said it wasn't a joke and that she shouldn't have played it off like one. That the poop incident was serious and she knew it. She admitted that she let it slide because she was embarrassed, because if she acknowledged it fully, she'd have to admit she wasn't doing enough as a parent, and maybe she wasn't ready to do that at the time. She said something that stuck with me, that when I got so angry, she felt attacked, and instead of dealing with that, she tried to turn everyone against me. And yeah, she did. It worked too. They laughed about my miscarriage like it was just another thing I was being sensitive about. She didn't try to justify that part. She just said, I let it happen. I'm sorry. Then my nephew asked if he could talk to me alone. My mom and sister went to the kitchen, and it was just me and him on the couch. He's 7, a little older now than I was when I first learned how messed up adults can be. He looked small, not in a pitiful way, just young. He didn't fidget or avoid my eyes like last time. He said sorry too. Said he didn't really know it was dog poop, but that he thought it would be funny either way. That he didn't mean to make me sad. I told him it wasn't about the poop, it was about trust. That sometimes people go through hard things, and the people around them act like it's funny, and that kind of stuff sticks. He nodded. I don't know how much of it landed, but he listened. That's more than I can say for most of the adults in my family. He gave me a hug before they left. It wasn't forced, it wasn't weird, just real, and that did something to me I wasn't expecting. Not healing, just softening, like maybe I didn't have to stay angry forever. Maybe I could be a safe adult for him without excusing everything that happened. When they left, my mom said quietly, "We'll do better." I said, "Okay," but I didn't promise anything. The next day, I got a message in the family group chat, the one I'd muted for a month straight. My cousin had left it completely. My aunt hadn't said a word, but my mom posted a little list. New family rules. No kids helping with food unless supervised. No jokes about miscarriages, infertility, or emotions. No mocking anyone's trauma, period. If someone says they're uncomfortable, we listen. It felt ridiculous that any of that had to be spelled out in a group chat full of adults, but still, it was something. Later that week, my mom asked if I wanted to host the next dinner. I told her only if it's adults only. No offense to the kids, but I need a break. She said she understood. She even offered to help cook. I told her no, if I host, I'll do it my way. So, yeah, things aren't perfect. I'm still not answering messages from certain family members. I still get anxious if someone brings up food or pregnancy, or tries to brush things off like they didn't happen. I still haven't stepped foot in that kitchen where it all went down. I've been keeping meals simple, mostly frozen stuff or takeout. I know that's not sustainable forever, but it's what I can manage right now. I still think about the miscarriage. Not every day like before, but often enough. It creeps in when I least expect it. At the grocery store, in a commercial, during a song I used to like. It's quieter now, but it's not gone. I'm working on it. I'm not trying to heal anymore. Not in the way people talk about in self-help books. I just want peace. Not to be on edge every time I walk into a room with my family. Not to flinch when someone calls me dramatic for standing up for myself. That's what I'm aiming for now. Not healing, just peace. If you're still reading, thanks. I don't know what this post was meant to be at first. Maybe a rant. Maybe a cry for help. But now, it's just a record. That something bad happened. That I wasn't crazy for being upset. That I didn't let it slide. That I didn't forgive and forget just because people said I should. I stood my ground. I didn't go nuclear, but I didn't cave either. I didn't let a family that laughed at my pain pretend it was all fine again just because they wanted to move on. And maybe that's enough. For now.